Hey everybody, it's Kim Beal here, the broad of the bay, and I am here with still not a lot of football stuff because, again, middle of July, but training camp for us starts next week. But the big news of the week has been the introduction of the new creamsicle uniforms here in Tampa. So I think you all know, because I've told you that this is the 50th year of the Buccaneers as a team. And so we are going back to the very first uniforms. So creamsicle, cream and, orange, white with little red. Anyway, they look fantastic. They look so good. So there's been like all this social media, all these photos of all the guys modeling the new unis. But what's interesting is our record in the creamsicle unis since we've been doing the throwbacks is not great. It's 1-3. The only game we have won, and I say the only game the Bucs have won when wearing the creamsicle unis since we started doing the throwbacks was against Green Bay. And then the 3 losses that we have had are all divisional losses. So the Falcons, the Saints, and the Panthers. When we wear the creamsicle uniforms and play in our own division, we lose. So, good news is, I think that we're going to wear them 3 times this season. The first time is the first home game, which is against the Jets. So, that bodes well. Not that I think that game is going to be super easy, because the Jets have quietly been making a lot of really smart moves and signings, and I think they could be surprisingly good. But the Bucs will be wearing their throwbacks for that game. That is on September 21st. And then also we'll be wearing the throwbacks against Houston on the road. And the Falcons? Oh, I hope that's not true, because that's a divisional game. And when we wear the throwbacks in the divisional games, it has not been good. But the coolest thing is that in week 5, I believe it's week 5, the Bucs and the Seahawks are playing each other in Seattle. But those were the 2 expansion teams that started at the same time. So back in 1976. Both teams are going to wear their throwbacks for that game, and I think that's going to be so fun to watch, and hopefully will be a great game, and obviously hopefully the Bucs will win. So I think that's week 5. But anyway, the photo shoots that they've been doing for these throwback unis, you see the guys there, they look like they're walking, and they're really just walking on this like flat treadmill in the training facility. I love it. I love these like little behind the scenes glimpses of how they do all this stuff. But some of the still photos are very retro, like with you can see Leroy Selman's jersey behind Baker and stuff. So it's really been kind of fun to see this whole week. It's been like the only thing that's happening in the world of the Buccaneers prior to training camp starting. They did do a little thing at the team store where some of the old players, Mike Allstott, Batman Roberts, I think his last name is, and Martin Gramatica were there with their old unis, and they were signing autographs and stuff. So that was kind of fun. I didn't go, but it looked fun. It looked cute. So that is that. Let's see. I think I touched on all of my notes on that. So, if you recall, a few weeks ago, I was sharing with you the coaching cycle here in Tampa, and I told you who I thought the worst coach was, Greg Schiano. Well, guess what? I always love to be proven right. There was a big article from CBS Sports talking about the 25 worst head coaching hires of the century. And guess who was on it? Greg Schiano. I know. Shocker. But one of the things that they brought up in that article, and I had totally forgotten about, During his tenure, there was a MRSA outbreak in the workout facility for the Bucs. MRSA, which is a horrible thing to get. And I know my daughter got it at FSU, and it was terrible. So that happened under his watch. And I think even the kicker of the time, like, sued him or sued the team or whatever, because it was that bad. But yeah, Greg Schiano. Wow. Like, it was just funny to see that little, that little story and then think, haha, I was right, because he really was that bad. He really was that bad. And he was so bad that he actually got the GM at the time. It was before Jason Light, so I think Mark Dominic was the GM. And so Schiano got fired, Mark Dominic got fired, ushering in, like, good stuff after we got past Dirk Ketter, that guy, after Schiano, who was equally horrible. But, like, people were comparing the regime under Greg Schiano, like, to being in communist Cuba, stuff like that. That's just not good, I don't think that's good. So I'm glad he's gone. Once again, very happy that Todd and Jason have signed multi-year extensions, because I really feel like the Bucs are in a great place. So another thing that just happened, literally just happened, like I got it on my phone like a moments ago. My dream of us getting TJ Watt apparently is not going to come true. So the Steelers have signed TJ Watt to a $123 million multi-year deal. So he's staying in Pittsburgh. But wow, it really would have been quite amazing to have him here. That would be like, Super Bowl for sure. But I still think it's going to happen, even without, TJ Watt. But good for TJ Watt. I'm glad he got that deal. I think he deserves it. He's definitely, a super important piece of that puzzle, and probably going to be even more important because that Aaron Rodgers experiment that they're going to try up there, I don't see that really going well. So the defense is probably going to really have to light it up a bit. So anyway, that's really all that I have this week. I, again, am really looking forward to training camp. I think there's going to be some good signings. We're going to do some contract extensions. I'm hoping for a couple of our guys, like Cade Otton, for example. He is the tight end here in Tampa, and he's really terrific and stepped up last year when we had Mike Evans and Chris Godwin all out injured. So I'd like to see him get a nice little bump and extension. Also, probably, what's his name? Zion McCullough. He's a strong, young defensive player that I foresee really good things coming from him, and I think he's due for a re-up or something. Actually, probably not even using the right terms, but I want these guys to stick around. And yeah, I also saw today in The Athletic, you know how I love The Athletic, and I should probably look at who writes these things so I could tell you and give them credit. But one of these guys still sticking with the Bucs as a NFC champion, going to the Super Bowl, representing the NFC. Love to see that, because I also believe it. He did express a little bit of concern about Tristan Wirfs' injury. I share that concern. But I do believe that we are going to have an awesome season. And we really have a favorable schedule. So, I think the toughest games are going to be the toughest games that we had last year. Philadelphia, Detroit. We just got to not lose the games that we should win, like Dallas. I don't think we played Dallas this year, but, James and I were talking about it the other night, and he's like, you promised me we would win that game. And I'm like, I swear to God, I thought we would. So, we gotta not lose games like that. So for example, like the Jets, that would be an important game for us to win. And we should win that. It's here, it's in Tampa, it's the first home game. So I feel like we should be pretty good there. But that's about it. And I will be back with you next week and talk training camp and all good things. Hopefully, no injuries, only good things. And yeah, that's it. So check us out. But first football, and here I'm signing off. Broad of the Bay, Kim Beal. Peace.